Get a little feedback.
I guess we ready to start it off. Everybody ready?
Somebody coming through their car.
Say that again, sir.
If somebody coming, is there somebody else coming through the car audio? I think that fixed it. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and start it out. This is Morality Check. My name is Shemaine Melton. I'm gonna introduce everyone, and hopefully we can get this conversation started and have some good feedback. Um, to my right, I have Miss Shannon Brooks. How are you today?
I'm well. Hope you are.
Good. To my bottom right, I have G. How are you today?
I'm doing all right, man. What's going on?
I'm good. And to my bottom left, it's gonna be Mr. Everything. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, boss man.
All right, that's good. So today's conversation is gonna be about assume versus intuition. Anyone have any insight as far as getting started? You want to go first? Anyone can be random, or I can start it out.
Well, I'm always good with ladies first, so we kind of jump in. It's kind of more of a ladies type of field, in my opinion, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of times, women are built around their intuitions. Men, we kind of try to do that or have that type of mentality, and sometimes it becomes assumptions, and vice versa. Some women can feel like it's their intuition and becomes assumption. So let's see what the ladies kind of feel, how they feel about it first. And Mr. Shemaine, if you're okay with that, we can kind of piggyback on what they're saying, our perspectives on that specific topic. Ladies.
Well, let's see here. I think for me, um, when I look at my intuition, like if I'm like when I use that, it's more so me kind of watching and observing. So when I watch, when I observe, and I just don't do it like say once. I may do it 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So I just sit back, look, see what's what, and then I kind of try to go from there as far as what direction that I'm gonna go in, whether it's a person, whether it's a situation, or what have you. What I assume is just more so me just going just straight off, whatever's in front of me. I hadn't taken the time to think about it. I hadn't had the time to or take the time to observe. It's just more so like, oh, I see somebody doing something, or you said something to me, I don't like it, so I'm just gonna go off on the deep end. Or if it's something going on, I'm just gonna go ahead and say my how I feel, what I feel, but I didn't take the time to really observe to see what it really was or what was really going on for me to move that way. So I move very differently between both categories or whatever. So that's my
Yeah, I might have to agree with that. Anytime, for me anyway, when I make decisions based on assumptions, it's usually because of like experiences. What they say, if you touch the stove, it's hot. You know not to touch the shit again. So that's where assumptions come in with me. I just you experience things, and then I mean it's sort of like a protection almost, or like like a way to kind of defend yourself. because you have these experiences, and it would just kind of it'd be crazy not to learn something from it. So a lot of times we do assume. Um, as far as intuition goes, I'm a lot like Miss Shannon. I'm gonna observe. I'm gonna, you know, look at things. I'm gonna look at it 3 or 4 or 5 times. Just to make sure it is what it is. Um, Intuition. It's funny, they can get mixed up, especially when you have some bad experiences. You sometimes it's hard to think like, okay, maybe this is something good versus this is just another situation like I've been through before. So eh, I can see how the two get mixed up. It's a constant battle daily.
All right.
Also,
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
with like the intuition thing, I think men have intuition too. I think it's just like a feminine stigma around it. Like we always say women's intuition, women's intuition. I think men call it more like I got a hunch, or whatever whatever you guys use. But I think it's a I don't think it's a gender based thing. Some of us just we got a good sense for certain types of things. So and that's I don't think it's gender based. Just a little something there. That's all. I'm good.
All right. All right. Well, whenever I look at things, I don't think that it is a gender-based category, so to speak. But I will say I knowing myself, I have a lot of intuition. A lot of people don't realize what intuition actually is. A lot of people just kind of assume and then say, "Oh, that's that intuition that told me that." It's because you assumed it first. Um, but I will say that most people that assume things are usually not on the right track. But it can be a double-edged sword. But most of the time, when it comes down to intuition, it's a heightened understanding of something. And myself being a type of person that's empathic, I feel other people's situations that they're going through. I feel it in their voice. I feel it in their conversation. I feel it in their confidence. So that's when intuition definitely kind of kicks in and says, you know what, something ain't right about this, or something is right about this particular situation. And so it can be a good thing, but at the same time, sometimes you got to be a little bit reserved and try to calculate all the different moves and all the different things that could potentially come about. So,
All right. So for me, there's a breakdown between the two words. Intuition, from what you everybody was saying, is pretty much more of a experience based, and with the emotions mixed into it, um, and with an empathic type of ability. The intuition comes in because there's something that's happened before, and you say, okay, well, my intuition has never failed me before. There's always something that's dealt with the past, and that's what makes you get more in tune to what's going on currently. And that's a big part of the intuition is being in tune with the emotions, your experiences, things you've dealt with in the past, things you see that's kind of repetitive. Where assumptions come in is you just assuming that something is what it is, and most of that assumptions come in from past experiences, but it's not so emotional driven as an intuition. Intuition comes from the empathic abilities, the emotions behind what's happened before, um, and the experiences. Where assumptions come in, it's like I'm just going to assume that this is what it is. I don't have any concrete evidence to what I'm feeling. I just feel something, and I'm just going to assume that. Let's say, a woman meets a guy, and the guy comes up and say, "Hello, how you doing?" A lot of times they're going to assume, and vice versa. I don't want to make it gender specific. Vice versa, a woman walks up to a man and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Automatically, you're going to think that she's trying to holler at you, trying to get your number, trying to see what you're about, when they could just be wanting to come and have a conversation. And that's where the assumptions comes in. It's like, okay, I'm assuming that this person is wanting to do this, and it's really not that is really not what it is. Versus an intuition. Intuition is more so as something that comes with experience. It comes with being around that person and seeing, okay, well, their moves is kind of like what I've dealt with before. And that's where the experience and the past lives and things like that come into play as far as the intuition. Anybody got any counter to that?
Well, I got like a question for you, Mr. Everything.
All right.
So, is there a time that you could think of where you would just, you decided to go one way and then later on you're like, damn, something told me that I should have did this. Like, can you think of anything off the top of the head where, you know?
Absolutely. I can think of something right now. So, just to get, I'm being very transparent because that's what we're here for. We all family being transparent. The lady I'm dealing with right now, we try to explore the poly culture, right? And it's more so of a fantasy for her. But now she's putting it off as trying to fulfill something for me that I really don't need. Like I've never gave her the idea that I needed the ability to go have sex with another woman. She like we just had a whole argument per se about her not feeling like she's good enough because she's not experienced as I am, and I never gave her that idea. So yesterday, she gave me the okay to go out and experience with another woman. Uh, of course, I'm already like, nah, I'm good because I'm good where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like I'm good doing what I'm doing with you. I don't need anything extra. If I did, there's no need to have you here. So against my own intuition and my own, saying that I should have just stayed at the crib, I went ahead and did it. Now the agreement far as that is, as long as I record it so she can watch and we kind of, it's like a little giraffe soft type thing, fantasy type thing for her. If she's cool with it. Like as long as I tell her I'm doing it and I record it, she's cool with it. Set up the camera, in the mix of the act, the camera falls over. So it didn't get the act. So now we're in a whole situation of arguing of you didn't do what you're supposed to do. But I'm like, I never wanted to do it in the first place. Like you were pressing the issue about me going to do this for the sake of having a something, something spicy for the room. I didn't need to do it. It was good where I was at. So
Mm.
my I should have stayed at the crib and just chill instead of going out and saying, you know what, let me go do this. Let me give her a little something to watch when she get back, and then we can go from there. But that was that part was on me. Everything else, we had a long conversation because I'm like, yo, this is all you. Like isn't me. And she has she's an empath, so she has her empath and her emotions and everything is driven with everything she does. So whenever she gets to a point where she's in an emotional state, she goes like 1,000. I'm on 1,000 every day. You know how they said Bruce Banner, don't you gotta be angry to turn into the Hulk? And he says that's my secret. I'm always angry. I'm always angry. I don't need nothing extra to turn me into the Hulk. I'm always angry. So my that was on me. So as far as me going the right one way and I should have went another, that was my experience twice yesterday.
Okay, okay. That's y'all keeping it spicy over there for sure.
Yeah, listen, it's straight. You know what I'm saying? We experienced a threesome. It was cool, but the thing is again the intuition and the assumption. She assumed that this is something that I wanted, even though I said no, I'm not, I don't care. I'm good. She assumed that this would be something that I would want to have or want to experience when I didn't need it. Like we good every day. Why would I need that anybody else? You know what I mean? Like it's a good experience. It's a good test, but
Right.
I don't need all that. You know what I'm saying? And the intuition of mine was, yo, this is gonna go left. At some point, this is gonna go left. Because she doesn't seem like she's gonna be completely okay with it. Because she'll say, yeah, I'm good with you doing it one day, and then the next day, well, you only do it with this kind of limitations. Like,
Yeah,
don't
no.
say it's cool one way, but then you're gonna add it limitations. So my intuition was like, nah, maybe you need to just fall back and chill with that. But I didn't. I failed with my intuition, and her assumptions got the best of us.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And see, I mean, the assumptions could have been based off experiences. You know, maybe she dealt with men before who were, you know, maybe not honest about different things and stepped outside the relationship. Who knows why? Or you know, maybe you know. Yeah. Mm-mm. Anybody else got a experience like that? I'm trying to rumble around in my brain. The only thing I can think of right now is cryptocurrency. That's a damn.
I'm the
I should
boring
have went with.
one.
Yeah.
I
No.
said I'm boring. I've been with the same dude since I was 18 and I'm 46.
Oh.
No, but I just know over here, we ain't doing no poly, no solid, no none of that. It's like if you bring another bitch in this bedroom, I know one thing: I'm killing everybody on sight. That's all it is too, and I'm gonna kill everybody. I'm like,
And
all it is, I'm like, life insurance is getting ready to activate because I'm killing.
I
I'm,
totally understand that. And congratulations on YouTube having a very prominent
oh yeah,
and
but that's the thing. It's like, don't get me wrong. I'm happily married and everything, But I mean, and
Mhm.
I don't knock nobody. Please believe me, I don't. I think it's fun. Like I like listening to. I'm like, oh, you did what? Oh my, like that sounds fun. Okay. But all I can think of, like, I can't even assume. I can't even think about, like, even though my husband get on my nerves, the thinker that I got to come in here, he'd be like, babe, I want to spice it up something. I'm like, okay, what we gonna do? You gonna bring a toy or something in here? What we getting ready to do? Okay, let me get the Bengay. If I got to go out and put on a piece of Jennifer Lawrence, okay. What we doing? And another bitch walk in the room and she pop up out my closet or something. We gonna be fighting up in here for real. Life insurance activate, because I'm like, dude, you must die. I done had the policies on you past 2 years. You got to die, and I'm gonna go on out here and just claim insanity or whatever. I'm gonna go out here and say my assumption was that we was gonna use a toy, and the assumption, I was all wrong because the bitch came out my closet. I had to kill her. I'm like, that's what's gonna happen. Yeah, and I'm gonna, I'm be a little bit rich. I'm gonna be a widow, but I'm like, but yeah. And somebody's mama, somebody's sister, somebody's daughter, somebody gonna die because I'm like, the bitch came out my closet. I assumed it was a robber.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's safe to assume that Miss Shannon ain't with the shit.
No, but like I said, I thought I would. I'd be like, oh, you did what? For real? Like me and my husband both. He'd be like, he did what? He did what? Oh shit, that's what's up. But he'd be like, you want to live? Hell no. You want your hell no. We just gonna go and get some ice cream and go on to bed. Case closed. Assumptions closed.
Assumptions closed.
Intuition said, go get some ice cream and go to bed.
I totally dig that.
Oh,
Shalene, what
like
you
Miss
got?
Brooks said.
Hmm.
I said, I'm more like you. I'm the prude. I'm the man prude. I don't need nothing else in my relationship. No other woman, no other toys. Whatever she wants, she gets. But we not doing that. That's just being honest. I wanted to, piggyback off of the experiences that we were talking about. So, a perfect example. I had a young lady that I was dating at one point in time, and when I first met her, I knew her sister. I didn't know her, but I knew her sister. And I always was like, yo, her sister's the one. So I had assumed the younger one was the one that was the one I wanted. So we started talking and dating and all this goody good stuff. And then next thing you know, intuition kicked in and said, I don't know if I like this one. I should have got with the sister. And make a long story short, I started to realize that I should have went with my intuition because the younger one was crazy. She didn't have her stuff together. She didn't have her life together. She was into all the stuff that Mr. Everything is into. But me being a prude, I'm not into that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like me personally, I ain't got time for all that. It's hard enough making sure one woman is happy, is entertained, than to keep hopping all around different places trying to make sure everybody happy. I can control that. But when it come down to a whole bunch of extra stuff, nah, I'm good on that. So, but once again, the intuition kicked in, and I should have, picked the one that I originally had the hots for, so to speak.
You you wouldn't have to still have a number with
I do.
you.
I do. I have nothing against women with kids. I've dated women with kids all my life. But the younger one that I told you that I should have stayed away from, she got 6 kids, all different baby daddies right now. The one that I should have stayed with, she's like my age. She's like 46, owns her own business. You see what I'm saying? She still don't have any kids. She traveling the world. Whew, that's the one I should have been with, and I knew it from day one.
So I think mainly intuition and assumption. A lot of it comes from, of course, it's a chemical thing in all of us. Everything that we do is chemically induced, right? If we get upset about something, it's the chemical that tells us that we're upset. Um, and I think it's a lot of the mindset, the the maturity, the emotional ties, all these different things, and of course, like the background, the experiences. Because someone who comes from, let's break this down. How do y'all feel about the difference in classes and in terms of intuition and assumption? Do you think that there's a difference in someone that's in a high class, like rich people who have a different intuition or assumption of things than someone in a lower class or a middle class? Like, what do y'all think as far as those those things?
Well, for me, and I'm more so speaking because this is more like, kind of like in my line of work. I'm in financial services, so I help people with their money, with their insurance, with their credit. One thing about it is that what I always notice is it's always a difference between the haves and the have-nots. Um, I have clients that go across the board. I have clients who live in the projects. I have clients who live in low income, communities, but I also have those that live in gated communities. And when I sit down and I talk to them and we have real conversations, and I'm always a devil's advocate, and I'm also the person, you can tell anything to me and I don't judge, period. I don't care what you do. It ain't my place to judge. I'm like, hey, I'm down for whatever. I'm cool on the other side of the pillow. But the thing is that those who are in the have categories, majority of them, what they assume, especially the ones who've never had to come from the have not and move their way up to the have. The haves already always assume that a lot of the people who are have nots are lazy, they're poor, and they don't want any better. They want to sit around and they don't want to get up. I had one girl tell me, she was like, I don't like dealing with poor people. She's black. She said, I don't like dealing with poor people because they don't want to get up off their sorry ass and go ahead and make it happen. They always looking for somebody to do something for them. I don't like people who are on welfare. I feel like people who are on welfare, her words, should all go down a rabbit hole and die because of the fact that they don't want anything. Why should I have to sit up here and go to work and I got to pay taxes or whatever for your kids? Why should I have to sit up here and give, and go without, or if I give to yours, who's going to give to mine? I've seen very harsh, I guess how people assume or whatever from both sides. On the have not side, a lot of them feel as though when they try to do better and they want to do better, a have don't want to take their hand and help them. A lot of times they'll say, I don't want a handout. I just want to help up, and nobody's willing to help me. Nobody's willing to come and say, hey, look, I don't want to be on welfare. I don't want to be on the system. A lot of them, they're like, the reason I have, the kids that I have is because I didn't have the money like the haves to go have abortions. I'm over here with these children because, yes, I may have, say, 4 kids and I got, 2, different, fathers of them, but both of them were long-term relationships. We just didn't have the money to go get married. We did, or better yet, I didn't get married because of the fact that, if I get married, I lose my benefits. But it's not that I'm trying to get over or whatever, but I need to make sure my children are good. But nobody over there that's on the have side is willing to come over here and show me the way that I can go about making sure that, I can still have something so that I don't have to be out here begging people for anything or borrowing from people. But nobody will come, help me. Nobody, and not that I, want you to feel like you got to keep coming to help me. Just help me to do better. So a lot of times it's the assumption of from the have-nots is that, oh, they think they all that. They don't want to help. They ain't shit because of the fact that one day, they was over here too. And if they wasn't over here, it only takes one prayer for you to be over here. But you think you're better than me. You think you got it going on or whatever. We got the same, skin complexion, but you treat me like, I'm nothing. But then the haves look at it like, I don't owe them nothing. I don't want to go over there. If you poor, that's you. Just don't come over here. And it's always, to me, that really fine line. The ones who are kind of like where I am, like, I'm definitely not a have. I better have not. And thank God I'm not there anymore, but I'm definitely not a have. And I definitely don't have that attitude. Like, I'll help anybody as long as you're trying to help yourself. And that's why I always come from the place of not assuming. And even when I get involved, I sit down with somebody and I'm in their home, I still don't come from a place of assumption. I come from a place of, listen, let me try to help you. If I can help you. And if I can't, then I'm a bounce. But that's what I see a lot of times when you deal with talking about classes, when it come down to where, this one over here is in a $500,000 plus, community. And this one over here is in a $15,000 plus community. You'll be amazed at how each community views the other, but nobody's willing to come to the middle of the table to say, okay, what can we do to help each other? Nobody's willing to do that, but they're willing to talk trash about each other. And they're willing to assume something about the other. And a lot of times what they're assuming is not even the case. It's not even true. And I know I said a lot, so I'm gonna shut up.
What's up, Miss G? G, what you got?
Well, I'm in sales, and assumptions can lose you money. Okay, because you can't judge a book by its cover. You never know who's the one that's gonna buy the stuff. So you can't really sit up here and say, "Oh, well, they have on nice clothes and they're driving a nice car, so yeah, they're gonna buy." 9 times out of 10, the people, with the nice stuff, quote unquote, they're typically more on the cheaper side. They want more deals. They want more discounts. They want all these things. And like a lot of places will take advantage of lower class, middle class people because um to put it plain, we spend more money. I'm putting myself in there too. Like we don't hold money the same way that people with money do, or with tons of money do. It's just not what it is. So I'm in internet sales. So like I mean just you just have a better chance with people, with everyday people, than you do with folks who have money. They typically have, I mean, and it's sad to say, they typically have better money management skills. They had the money, so they know how to move it and how to maintain it and stuff like that. But yeah, like I every day, and we have workshops and different things, to stress that, like, you can't be biased when it comes to selling stuff, because you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know who's going to be the one to bite. So like, yeah, assumptions, I don't even play those games. Like, I'm willing to give anybody a chance. um don't matter what you look like, because hey, that might be the money. So that's how it works for me. um,
Anyone else got anything? Anyone else
You
got
mean as
anything?
far as the same thing, or you want to move on to something? I do have one more
We
thing,
can
and
pick,
I'm gonna ask you guys a question.
we can piggyback off of whatever conversation had gotten started. Just like she was on the business side of it. It's totally up to you guys.
Okay.
All content,
Um,
content.
so assumption and intuition. Let me get a hot take from all three of you. Police. That's all I'm gonna say. They're good. Go ahead, Miss Shannon.
Okay, I'm gonna be real. When I run across police officers, the first thing I think about is NWA's fuck the police. I'm just being honest. I'm one of those when it comes down to the police department. A police officer, in a sense, has to prove to me that you're a decent police officer. Because I know that there are good police officers out there. I do. Okay. And I have learned that because I assumed that, someone would like, just assholes. And then I've actually like, wow, this one was really cool, or this one was really nice, whatever the case may be. But at the same time, like, man, he was, and the thing was that me and him, we grew up together, but we, sometimes you grow up and you move away, and he moved out of the neighborhood we were in. So I hadn't seen him in years, and he just looked totally different. But he was still the same person, still cool. And his thing was, he was like, I'm just trying to make sure that I can drive these drugs out of the neighborhood, trying to keep gangs out the neighborhood. And even if you had something on you, he'd be like, look, man, I'm gonna go over here because I gotta go use the bathroom. When I come back, I need that gone. He was that kind. Like, if you got a little bit on you, I'm gonna tell you right now, the block is hot. More, of us are coming, but I'm trying to forewarn you. He's that kind of, police officer. And I can respect that or whatever. But for the most part, and I told him, I said, just like I tell my son, I said, my son is 6'5". He just turned 20. My son looked 25 when he was 13. And had to tell him, I have to tell my son, you respect the police officer while he's standing in front of you. But don't you trust that police officer, period. And that's just me. So yeah, for the most part, my attitude is fuck the police. It's your job. If you're a police officer, you got to try to prove me otherwise. I'm going to be cordial to you. I'm doing everything in my power to not get killed. I'm doing everything in my power to not go to jail. But to think that I'm going to trust you, that I'm going to like you, that we're going to come and we're going to walk in the neighborhood together, I'm going to get in your police car and ride around to prove that you're a good officer. No. Stay the hell away from me. Stay on the other side of the street. I'll wave. I'll nod, but you go on. That's me.
Straight like that, Miss Shannon, huh?
Straight, no change.
Yeah, yeah. If I had to put myself in this conversation about the police and assuming, I can't lie. I have issues when it comes to authority, and I'm just gonna be honest with that. Growing up, I came from a city called Greensboro, North Carolina, and there are a lot of racial issues there. It's a lot of history there for it to be such of a small area. And when it comes down to the police, I've always never disrespected police. I never care about the police. The police could pull me over. I could care less. I'm one of those guys. I'm an asshole. I'm more like, can you give me my ticket so I can ride out? I mean, really, I don't have time to go back and forth of why I was doing this. I'll pay the fine. Just get out of my face. I got shit to do. You know what I mean? So I never really had those experiences with police, like the current events that are taking place these days and have always taken place. I don't want to pour salt on that wound, but when it comes down to the police, I have noticed that I speak to them a certain way. I command respect regardless. And after a while, they leave me alone. I've been pulled over. The only police I don't like, I would have to say, and this is just me, is the ones that take me to jail. And I've been to jail for like 4 times already. So those are the ones I didn't like. Outside of that, I could care less what the police got going on because I understand their position. I understand their job. Not saying how good they do their job or how good that they stay in their position, but I understand. So I kind of, assume that the police are all going to be protectors, which we all know that they're not. And I keep that mindset going whenever I get pulled over or whatever, because sometimes I feel like you speak up some of the things that might potentially happen. If you're nervous, they're going to know you nervous. If you pissed off, they're going to know you pissed off. So why not, when they come to your door, just relax, and that's the mindset that I've always had when it comes to police, and they don't normally bother me. I tell the story. I've had some stuff in the backseat of my Cadillac, not this car, but when I was in the streets, I had stuff in the back seat that I was transporting. I got pulled over at a checkpoint. If they had a dog at that point in time, oh, y'all wouldn't be seeing me today. I guarantee that. But once again, I command a certain type of respect, you know, and I think that that's something that we get away from. Not all people, but all race, colors, and creeds. We all do it because once again, you're so nervous whenever the police come up on you. You forget everything that you're going on, and you putting off that. I don't want to say it's pheromone because I don't know the proper terminology for that, but it seems like you putting off that energy, and that police can feed off of it. They're trained certain ways, and that's just how I think outside the box when it comes to the police. So I'm good when it comes to the police. So anybody that get pulled over, let me know. Y'all need to ride with me when we drink, drive, whatever. I'm good to go.
All right, G.
It's like my man said, it's a double-edged sword, you know. Um, Assumptions, I guess, in the line of duty, it's kind of like sales, Assumptions can not get you to sell. Assumptions can, either lead to a life or death situation. So, like, it's sticky. I mean, that's why it takes good people to do that type of work, because, like, you know, it's a lot. Um, Again, I believe a lot of assumptions are based on experiences. Um, and a lot of our police are just desensitized. They've just been dealing with certain things so many times. They don't even look at people as human. They just look at them as like almost like a part of a video game. You just something you're doing every day. So I think a lot of issues come from that. It's a good and bad thing. I mean, like I said, assumptions, they can save your life. Assumptions can end up with a innocent being killed. So I mean, it just comes down to the type of person the police or like the officer is. So I mean, that's basically all I can say about that. I'm about like Miss Shannon on that. I don't talk too much about the peas.
Okay. So the reason why I said that is assumptions and intuitions are compacted by certain things that we say or certain things that we think about, right? So for instance, like I said, police, and we automatically become talking about the assumption dealing with trust, our feelings against how police are and how they move and how they conduct themselves. But because I said police to make it very broad. You know what I'm saying? So if I had said how police conduct themselves as far as traffic stops, approaching someone that they think or things like that, that would have compacted you guys' ideas of, okay, sometimes the police can assume one thing instead of going off of their intuitions. But we, as saying, like when I say just something as broad as that, the emotions, the experience, and things like that put us into the assumptions that is wrapped around the trust issues with the police, right? So if we would just sit back and said, okay, what is he really talking about? What is he really asking? Is he asking how I feel about the police, or is he talking about the police in general, right? So if we would say um, a lot of things that happen dealing with the police and how these traffic stops happen and how these killings are happening are based around the assumption and the intuition. The assumption of pulling up on a car that has tinted windows is that someone is in there that's going to be black. And I need to approach this car with so much caution and readiness that in the event that they pull out a gun on me, I can go ahead and defend myself in the manner that I see fit. And it isn't so much as defending myself to stop the situation, it's more so to kill the individual. But when the window opens and there's a white person in there, the emotion changes, the environment changes, the how they deal with the situation and the individual changes. Now their intuition and their assumption kind of plays into each other, because now the intuition is like, oh, this is a nice white guy, has a very nice car. He's driving around in the wrong neighborhood, obviously, because he shouldn't be around here. We only see people with tinted windows that are black thugs, gangsters, drug dealers. We don't see very many white people around here. So let me go up here and speak to this young man, see what's going on, make sure he's okay, and get him on to his destination. Their assumption and their intuition is feeling as though that they're safe, along with the assumption that they're safe. And then something happens where things turn around and the person don't want to go back to jail. They don't want to get a ticket. They stole the car. They got drugs on them. They just don't feel like being dealt with. They don't feel like being bothered. Like they're mad at their girlfriend because the girlfriend don't want to be with them no more. So now the first person that pisses them off is going to get shot, and it's a cop. Where versus if it's a black person that gets pulled over in a regular car, nice Buick, no tinted windows, no loud music, nothing going on, nothing swerving, but it's because it's a black person driving a car, they stole it. They don't have license, they don't have registration, they have a gun on them. So now I'm just going to go into my assumption, and I'm going to approach this with assumptions instead of having the intuition. The intuition comes from the training. I'm in tuned with what I've learned in the academy the right way. I'm in tune with walking up to this vehicle and approaching it the way I need to, with a smile on my face and speaking to this person as if he's a person, not as he's an assailant, as he's a criminal, an animal, or anything like that. That comes from assuming how that person is. It isn't going off of my intuition. Intuition would tell me from experience and from training that I'm going to walk up to this vehicle, everything's going to be okay. But if I see something that looks weird, I'm not going to approach the vehicle. I'm going to more so go back and get me some backup. I need to have somebody else here, because if something happens, I need to either A, have someone to witness it, B, have someone to help me stop it, or C, have someone to be able to fix the situation if it goes bad. If the person shoots me, I need someone to call ambulance. If I have to shoot this person, I need someone that needs to call an ambulance and still be able to say, well, this is what happened that escalates to this situation. So the assumptions and the intuitions can cross paths, but it all depends on the individual, the experience, the emotion, and the environment. And then we got a question. Some cops confuse assumption with intuition. How do you feel about that? I just kind of put that together.
Yeah.
Anybody want to pick it up?
No, just to reiterate, you kind of need both. You need to be able, assumptions based on experience, and then you need that intuition, because I mean that's what keep them safe. But like you said, it comes down to the individual person at the end of the day. Like if they're just ill-willed or whatever the case is, they're always gonna do the negative versus the positive, or choose the easier outcome or whatever best suits them versus what might be just better overall. So, oh yeah.
And truthfully, I really feel like assumptions are emotion based, intuitions are mental. Intuition will make you sit back and think about it. This is not what it is, or maybe this is what it is. Assumptions is emotion. I don't trust that. I don't trust that. So I'm just going to automatically assume it's going to go bad.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything else? I think this is a
I think
really good.
Shemaine's saying something.
Oh, he's trying.
Well, I was just gonna add in the true definitions of assume is to accept something to be true. And the true definition for intuition is the ability to acquire knowledge through higher consciousness. So those viewers that might not particularly know the exact definition, I figured I'd throw that out there. And that's something that we all got to really pay attention to when it comes down to these two, the difference between these two, especially when it comes down to the police as well. Their job is to have intuition because of their training, just like my man Mr. Everything has said. But at the same time, the natural mind is going to just assume things the way that they are or what they've experienced. Everything starts with an experience, no matter what way we look at it. So I just wanted to point those two definitions out. Anyone else got any comments?
Just to kind of tap on like the spiritual part of intuition. Like a lot of times it's just a feeling. Like I've been, about to go out or something like that, and just everything I tried to do to make my steps to go out. Like I went out to the mall to get an outfit. The shirt I wanted wasn't available. I went to the gas station. They didn't have my wraps. Whatever the case is, and then it's little stuff that you just kind of put off. And then it's been times I went out, I forced myself out, or I pushed through all the stuff to get out, and then it turns out it was a brawl at the club, or nobody was there, or whatever the case is. And it's like you gotta trust that thing inside that's telling you. Sometimes you have to be quiet to hear it, because we got so much going on and it's so busy. A lot of times we can't hear that little voice, and it's quick and it's distinct, and it's like, don't do that. Or don't go over there, or whatever the case is. We just, was that me, or and just keep going, and then later on it'll be like, something told me. That's my mama's favorite thing. Something told me that this was gonna happen and all that. But it's just, you just gotta be quiet and you gotta listen for that intuition. A lot of times it can be developed, but a lot of times it's something you just get from your people, like common sense. That's my 3 cents.
Jermaine, you gotta hit the mic. You sound like you're trying to say something, but we can't hear you.
It's probably the host doing it. I said, Miss Shannon, would you like to add anything to it, or are we good?
No, I think I'm as far as the spiritual.
All right. Did anyone want to say anything else before we close?
Just before we close, we have one more question. Are assumptions and a sense of intuition considered you talking to yourself?
Oh no, I talk to myself all the time. Crazy,
Me too.
child. But I have a whole conversation and answer myself like it's normal.
And sometimes we have to talk to ourselves to make sure we don't end up sitting in the cell by ourselves. So
That part, because I'll go to jail, but I just don't. I don't like people.
I just don't want to stay in jail.
Mm-hmm. And I'm scared. Time for him to before they fully process my pain. I'm in this old Negro spiritual with my mug going up and down the bars.
and my eyes are too pretty to go to jail. I'll be fighting every day. I don't have time for all that.
I can dig it.
All right, well, I think we've pretty much tackled this topic for tonight. We've had some really good feedback. Appreciate everybody. I know, Mr. Tremaine, I'm sorry. You are the host. You are the lead. I'll let you close this out.
By all means, take over.
But
You good?
This has been the morality check. I am Mr. Everything alongside G, Miss Shannon, and Mr. Tremaine. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We are here every week with some new topics, and some topics are going to be very relative to most and not relative to any. So, if you guys like to join the topics, be sure to follow the link I'm sure that our host with the most will be able to drop some information as far as being able to follow us as far as social media wise. Um, but yeah, it's been the morality check. I'm Mr. Everything, and we appreciate you. And until next time, be safe.
All right, guys.